Hey, Andrew, we are going, I think.
We live?
We are live. I'm doing everyone's job today, but we are good to go.
Awesome.
How are you?
Good, man. Good. Good to be back.
It's great to it's I was looking at our Instagram post from a year ago. We talked last July,
Yep.
and I was thinking about what was life like last July compared to now. And it was still a little messed up,
Yeah.
but compared to now when you're in Halifax and you can't really do certain things, those times is like they were great times.
Yeah.
But now, I don't know, it's still great times, but
Yeah,
still got to fight through.
I'm super happy. I'm loving life. I have a lot of frustration with what's going on with the lockdowns a little bit, but yeah, if you would have told me a year ago when we met we'd be dealing with it again now, I would I would doubt you on that prediction, but people are getting through, and I think people are sticking together and realizing that there are some people in need in these times,
Yeah.
and trying to keep connection and keep an open dialogue about how everyone's doing. But yeah, there was a lot of optimism last year. I think when we met, that things were
Yeah.
kind of rolling and we were turning a corner, and I went back to Germany and was able to travel a little bit before our season, so felt some kind of normalcy, and things opened up as soon as I left, and
Yeah.
I'd be talking to people in Halifax about how great it was to be in Halifax and how well everyone was doing here, even though they were kind of bubbled off from the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Things were available to people that are kind of shut down again now. And as soon as I got back, the day I got back, they shut back down. So,
No, the day?
the
Oh,
day, yes.
brutal.
So I had my flight booked back from Germany, and I was flying, and I guess they were making an announcement based on some of the statistics they'd been collecting that they might be shutting things down again. So I had my 2 week quarantine, and day one of my 2 week quarantine, everything got shut down. So I was laughing, talking to all my buddies, and then friends who I wanted to meet up with and see, and I wanted to eat at a restaurant,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all those things. But those are small fries in the grand scheme of things, and I think everyone has a new optimism again that things are turning a corner here, and I think if everyone's I guess diligent and pushing for what they believe or want,
Yeah.
I think we can make that happen.
What if you can compare your life to Germany this past year compared to Canada right now? What are the differences? Because I haven't left this part of the world in almost 2 years now. So, what was it like?
It was a tough year to navigate. I felt really fortunate that we were able to have a season,
Yeah.
that we were able to play hockey. That was put into question a couple times as we were starting the season. Germany was having high cases, and then things weren't really opening up there. So there was a little bit of stress on the business side of hockey. Um, the players had to take some big pay cuts to play because we played with no fans, and
Oh.
we don't have the TV revenue that they would have in the NHL. Similar to the AHL, a lot of those AHL guys had to take pay cuts, but at the end of the day, the guys were happy to get on the ice and work, and it was tough to navigate though, because restaurants obviously were closed. Um, just normal stuff you were used to. So it was um, very much business as far as going to the rink,
Yeah.
practicing, going home,
Yeah.
kind of that routine. So you had to find things that were outside of your typical in season routine to fill your free time. So it was a good year. I learned a lot about myself, and learned a lot about some things I never really showed a lot of interest in. So
What are some things that you learned about yourself and some interest?
oh man, just meeting a new group of people and new. I have a girlfriend. She's been living in Germany for a while. She's Russian, and she has a lot of international friends as well. So I got to meet a lot of new people from different places in the world, and see a different perspective on life, and different lives people live, and what's important to a lot of people. And um, I absolutely love my job as a hockey player, and I love all my friends that I've met within hockey. But it gave me a chance to kind of look at the bigger picture and realize, like, I think a lot of almost all my life and all my friends were hockey based, and you can get caught in a pretty narrow mindset and a narrow mentality and perspective. So it was kind of branching out and trying new foods and cooking and getting new. I always enjoyed yoga, but yoga became a huge part of my year. I always enjoyed reading, but I didn't stick to it as much, and that's something I did more and more this year, and started to bear down on learning German a little bit. So I
Oh
was
yeah.
taking a little bit of classes, started to try to learn Russian a little bit. So mostly just keeping the brain active.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a disappointing year for our team, but it was good that we got to play the full season.
Yeah. Were the bars open in Germany? Anything like that? Like outside of the rink, were you able to socialize with teammates? Things like that?
No. So
Oh.
the bars were closed. We were able to get together at the arena. So sometimes we would have food delivered into the arena, and yeah, that's as far as I'll go. But we were able to gather. I would like to say they had similar rules that we have here in Nova Scotia right now. It's just the mentality and I guess the overall mood and emotion of the people was a lot different than I'm seeing in Halifax and East Coast Canada a little bit. I was telling people back home we were running around 25,000, 30,000 cases a day throughout the year, but everyone was really kind of calm about it. The testing, obviously they were testing a lot. As hockey players, we were getting tested almost twice a week.
Up the
Yeah,
nose.
the
Yeah.
PCR just before games, after games. So that was another hoop you had to jump through. That was kind of annoying at times because you'd always have to do it early in the morning to get the results in quickly.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, but yeah, the it Germany is such an outdoor culture. There is so much nature and parkland and city parks and whatnot that even though there was no restaurants, the takeout and everything was still going, but the restaurants and bars are closed. It's tough to clamp down on that culture as far as outdoor
Mm.
activities and spaces. So when the weather was permitting to go outside. It was kind of, I wouldn't say crowded, but lots of people are outside, and
Yeah.
you were able to meet up with friends and socialize. I don't think it was such a locked in mentality.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I guess it's different. It's interesting to see how different places handle different situations. So yeah, it's interesting to take a look at.
Do you find the community in Germany? I don't know what city you were in Germany, but when you think of a city like Halifax and how everyone's on the same page, like, don't get me wrong, you have some outliers. How people aren't, I guess, so happy with what the government's deciding to do. But for the most part, everyone's on board. Okay, let's stay inside. Let's get vaccinated. Let's do everything right. Do you find that in Germany as well, that everyone is on the same page, or do you find it's a split society?
Um, Now I don't. I understand the language and I can get by speaking it, but I don't understand it to the enough to um, really get involved in the politics of it.
Yeah,
So it's pretty blatant when you look at the USA, who's Republican, who's liberal,
yeah.
or Democrat, and in places like Canada, I think, and I'm not a political expert, so I'm not
Me
gonna
neither. I'm
dig
not
too deep,
gonna.
but I feel like. One thing that is great about Halifax, but can also, I think, with a little bit looking as an outsider who's from here, can hinder a bit is everyone, regardless of if you agree with the rules or not, you follow them, and I think that's something that rings true. I think. I like to hope that Halifax and Canada in general stays a place where you can have a different opinion but still buy into the same ways of living.
Hmm.
Um,
That's well put.
yeah,
Very well
and
put.
I think when you look at the U.S. and people talk about how divided it is and speak on that, there's an overwhelming energy coming forward that if you don't agree with what I agree with, I don't have to. I can act completely differently.
Mhm.
And I think Germany is the same way, where I hear people talk about politics, and I know everyone doesn't agree, but I think everyone is very respectful, and that goes all the way into. Uh, Now, I'm not talking about breaking laws, but if people are using logic and bending rules a little bit, it's not a, I guess, tattletale society.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of respectful, but go about your business. But let's get through it together. And I think Halifax is the same in a way. I just hope it can stay that way. Where if you have a different of difference of opinion, but you're following the same guidelines
Mm-hmm.
and rules, um, your ideas and voice can be heard for people who do have different ideas.
One thing I fear about this past year, I remember we had McKinnon on the podcast, and he was talking. I was asking him questions about, his time in Halifax and why he likes to live here and train here and spend time with his friends here. And he's like, it's great because, it's somewhat of a bubble here, and if you spend too much time here, it can be a bad thing. And if you spend your time here, um, I guess if you spend time here and you figure out how much time you want to spend here and leave, you appreciate it more. Is what I'm trying to say. So
Mm-hmm.
he lives in Colorado. He comes back here, and he appreciates it way more. That's one thing I am nervous about right now. Is I haven't left in a year, and I listen to you talk about Germany and some of the things you're experiencing, the outside culture, the people, the restaurants, the food, whatever it may be. It's one thing I think about myself. It's like every time I drive to East Hanson, I pass the airport. I'm like, what am I missing right now that I haven't left this part of the world in a year and a half? Am I missing cultural experiences? Am I missing out on certain stories? And as I sit here in my basement, my studio, like I said, for the past year and a half, I think, okay, have you grown as a person? Have you
Mm-hmm.
been able to develop a new skill set? Have you made any more relationships? And those are the questions I've just been asking myself a lot recently. And when it comes to the podcast and the guests we've had on, it's been, excuse me, a lot of the same guests. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yep.
Um, but it's just, I think a lot of people have those same maybe doubts in this past years. Have people grown? Has businesses grown? Have things happened? I don't know. I guess that's just the common theme, I guess, around this part of the world for the past year, at least for myself, and definitely the entertainment industry. You think of
Yeah.
hockey guys who, the Mooseheads, they only played PEI and Cape Breton this year. That's two teams. Have these players really gotten better? Have these guys grown as people to be able to, I don't know, get better? It's just, I don't know,
Yeah.
a lot of questions. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and I don't think I think I'm extremely lucky, and I won't doubt that, to be able to see different places in the world and meet people with different perspectives. But it's just I think in the last couple of years I learned and kind of felt like you can travel to 100 different countries in a year, but if you don't want to experience culture, gain new perspective, or meet new people, or read something new,
Yeah,
or watch something different,
yeah,
or challenge yourself, it's not necessarily having to leave to do that. You can do it wherever you are, and I think this time has offered myself, and I hope a lot of people, a time to maybe reflect on their daily habits and daily routines and living, and maybe make some adjustments. And it's having too much free time can allow people to kind of fall into some bad habits too,
100%.
which I've talked to some people about throughout this lockdown. It's been really tough for people because especially in the Maritimes. Growing up here, there is such a pride in some things that aren't always the healthiest of habits, and I think I've seen a lot of people and close friends who have grown a lot in the past year, and maybe had a lot of time to sit by themselves and think and evaluate what's benefiting them in positive ways, and make adjustments. I know growing up. I grew up out. I grew up in Alberta, and when I was 13, I moved to Nova Scotia, and that was at a young age. But you learn pretty quickly that the Maritimes is pretty proud of their drinking culture, and when you go through the hockey ranks. As a guy from the Maritimes, it's just a running joke. No matter where you go in the world, it's, oh geez, Maritime. We're like,
Yeah,
this guy can drink.
yeah.
Like, and you have time to reflect on those things and pull away from it a little bit and broaden your horizon with your free time and free nights. So
Yeah.
I think maybe that's just age coming with age, but I'm seeing it happen a lot with friends and people I'm close to, which is really positive.
Yeah, that's awesome. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned tee times. You're booking golf. Have you always been a golfer?
I used to be a I used to love golf. I used to golf a lot. I golf for the company now. That's it. I golfed yesterday for the first time.
Where at?
I golfed at Glen Arbor.
Okay, nice.
That was kind of I grew up in that area, and I golfed there a lot growing up. So I liked that course, and it was a great opportunity to get out with my dad and my uncle and whack the ball around. But it's a sport I love to hate. I love getting out with people, and I can play really well at times, but um, I don't have the I don't want to commit the mental energy and physical energy into getting better at it.
You can't. You don't want to commit
I
time
don't
to
want.
it.
I know I can be a good golfer. That's the thing, but it's not like riding a bike. It takes so much practice
Yeah.
and routine, and I just don't want to commit mentally to the point that I disappoint myself. So
Really.
if I just set myself up as like I'm going out, I'm gonna have fun. You know what? Maybe I'll get a birdie, maybe I'll get a triple
Yeah.
bogey. Like I'm just gonna have a good time. It's about getting out with people, but yeah, like a full round is such a commitment, and
It'll be interesting to see if you feel that way when you retire, because I don't have any competitive. I don't have any competitive nature in my life other
yeah,
than with myself, just trying to get better. But I picked up golf this year, and I'm in love with it. Like
yeah,
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with it. I love it, and I think of you. You probably still train a lot, so
yeah,
maybe that takes up a lot of your time. And you're talking about like mental and physical energy. It'll be
yeah.
interesting to see if you feel that way when you retire.
Potentially, a lot of things like my training took up a lot of time, and then um, my closest friends weren't the biggest golfers.
Okay.
We golfed together growing up when we were younger. So like Brad Marchand, Jeff Marchand, Justin Smith, we would always go out as a foursome. And I think around the same time we all kind of it kind of fell off our radar a little bit.
Yeah.
And then guys start having kids, and that that cuts golf out of the equation pretty quickly. But it's something I've always wanted to keep as a skill, just as a social aspect, and maybe even from like a business perspective in
What
the
do you mean?
future. Meeting people, like
Yeah.
having an
Okay. Yeah.
opportunity to go out and walk the course and talk
Yeah.
and within hockey culture, golf in the off season is a big thing,
Goes
and
hand in hand.
yeah, so it's definitely something I like to keep and hang on to. I love when I get out. I just don't want to go out and expect to shoot the lights out and disappoint myself because
Yeah.
I am such a competitive
Yeah.
person.
I,
But
I know exactly what you mean, like the competitive, not ego, but the competitive nature in you. You only want to do things that you're good at. You're a great hockey player, and
yeah,
to do a triple bogey on a par three, you're like, come on, Andrew, what are you doing? Like, I know what you mean. It's that
yeah,
frustration level, but I don't know.
it is. I do try and do the best at everything I do. So when I am golfing, I take my time and I try and shoot my shots.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
I don't intentionally play like shit,
yeah,
but I don't. I recognize with myself that I'm not putting in practice. I'm not
yeah,
going to the range. I'm
yeah,
not chipping. I'm not
yeah,
putting. I'm showing up. I might take a couple swings and we're ready to go.
yeah.
So it's leisure for me is more than competitiveness.
So still, like, how old are you? 32, 33?
32, yeah.
I was talking to you this morning. You're working out. You're training. What were you doing?
Yeah, so right now with the gym shut down, my trainer JP McCollum, who I've been with for a long time,
He used to train me way back.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so he's fortunate enough that the gym he has now has big garage doors. So when we roll in or I roll in for a training session, we move the equipment outside. So you got to beat the rain sometimes, and there's been a couple days that we just had to call it. Hopefully things are turning around, but it's just kind of yard work, little bit of jail workouts right now.
What do you
In
mean?
the well, I just outdoor with weights and
Oh, okay, yeah,
kettlebells,
okay,
and
yeah.
you got you got trap bars and barbells and stuff outside
Yeah.
on the cement. It's just a little bit of a different feel, but I'm still able to do my yoga on my own and all my active
Yeah.
mobility stuff. And
Isn't JP's wife a yoga instructor?
she is, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. She's a yoga teacher, and growing up, we did a lot of yoga with her, along with the training. They have lots of kids. They have 4 kids now, and
Okay.
a young baby. So he said that yoga might be something we'll implement again with her this summer. But um, like you were talking about YouTube, finding everything you could do on YouTube these days. I do a lot of YouTube yoga,
Yeah.
and I found a few really good people who I like to follow. So it's been good. It's been good. I've been happy to add it to my routine.
Awesome. So compared to like when you were 18 years old to now and the training regimen that you do, well, is your mindset still okay? Let's still get quicker. Let's get stronger, or is your mindset let's maintain? Let's figure out this problem. Let's like what's your mindset when you're training? Because when you're
Yeah,
18, I'm assuming you just want to lift heavy. You want to like what's your
yeah. Well, I think just life in general as you grow older. Um, Especially hockey players, it's you got to grow into a point where you're making decisions for yourself and you're setting your own schedule and
yeah
almost setting yourself up for life after hockey. When you're 18, you get a personal trainer and you show up and you do the workout and you leave. You're like, okay, I'm done.
yeah
Every rep, every exercise was told, like, okay, you're gonna do this for this amount,
yeah
and you kind of show up and you don't put much extra thought into it. I think in the past few years, I've really learned why I'm doing exercises, the focus of the exercise, and really kind of analyzing how my body feels, and at certain times I can really um, yeah, it's not too deep, but you understand what your body needs and how you feel, and when you're on the ice, you can feel certain ways and maybe feel a tightness here or there.
yeah
So as I've gotten older, it's really kind of listening to your body. Strength has never been an issue for me, and it's something I enjoy doing. So that's sometimes something I have to reel back a little bit, is from the strength and lifting aspect thing part of things, and really focus on the mobility and the quickness as I get older, because those are the things that you can really notice if it starts to deteriorate.
Cool. So when you come back for the first, like when you just got out of quarantine, you started working out with JP. What are some questions like JP asks you at the beginning of the year, and what does he want to know from you?
Yeah, we keep in touch throughout the whole season. So you typically after my season ends, I'm keeping in touch with them throughout the whole thing. As the season ends, we just talk about any injuries or ailments or things that were bothering me towards the end of the year or
Yeah.
throughout the year, and it's something he likes to incorporate, so we can touch on it, and come the next season, I'm feeling good about my body and where it's at for another grind.
Yeah. I love that you implement yoga. It's one thing I don't, but when I did do it back when I played, it was I don't want to say life changing, but it's incredible what it does for at least for me for your mood.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, it feels great on my body, but there's no better feeling than going in an hour hot yoga session and then jumping in a cold shower.
yeah,
That I remember that feeling was sensational.
yeah.
It does a lot more I find for my mental than my physical. It was great.
Definitely. Yeah, it's typical to, like we talked about, working out when you're 18 versus older is um Mada, JP's wife, used to do yoga with us, and early on I would just do yoga. Like,
You didn't know why you were doing it.
tell me the moves.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing yoga because it makes me flexible. Like, I'm doing these moves and my shoulders are on fire. I hate this. My legs are burning. Like, this isn't what hockey players do.
Yeah.
Okay, next move, and then you kind of really, once you really dive into it and kind of take the initiative to do it yourself and realize it's something you enjoy, and really incorporate the mind and the movement as part of it, it's amazing. Like, once you're like,
Yeah.
now I'm
Yeah.
now I understand yoga,
Yeah.
and yeah, I try and do it daily, at least once a
Really?
day. Yeah,
Daily?
yeah. So if I today I did a power flow this morning, and if I don't get a morning yoga session in, I'll do a yin yoga at night, which is just kind of it's more of a stretching routine.
You
But
just do it at the house?
yeah, yeah, I just lay the mat down before I go to bed or as soon as I wake up, and yeah, I found yeah, I'm not gonna. It hasn't changed my life. I'm not here to say, but if I miss it, I've never regretted starting yoga. There's been days where I'm like, God, I just don't want to do it today, and you
Yeah.
get halfway through and you're done. You're like, I'm so happy I did that.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's like anything that you commit to, whether it's a workout or saying you're going to read 30 minutes a day or anything you put on your to-do list
Yeah.
at the start of the day. Once you check it off, you're like, God, I'm glad I did that. So
You said you started reading this year.
no, I've always read. I just should say I've made more of a point um, of writing down kind of my daily goals each day. So
Give me some other than reading. Give me some goals that you write down.
okay, so I'd have my pen and paper and pad, and I would put so I'd have yoga.
But what? Sorry, I gotta ask you one more question before you start. Like, what day of the week are you writing? Are they new goals every week, or are they?
No, this is like they might change if I have a new thing that I have to do, if I have a chore or errand. But these are more I don't know what you call them, daily must dos.
Okay,
Like
I got
every
you.
day.
Okay,
You got your
sorry.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Okay,
Thursday, Friday, and every day I have yoga. So I don't complete them all every day, and it's a disappointment. But
that's all right.
say so. I'll have yoga. I'll have German for 30 minutes, Russian for 30 minutes, read for 30 minutes. So those are all like, and I have practice. So I have an hour of practice, 30 or 40 minutes of workouts, and this year there's not a lot of hanging around at the rink. So I'm done. I got a whole day. So that's only an hour and a half of the day, and it kind of gave me the opportunity to not sit on my
Yeah.
ass and maybe get lost in YouTube or a show on Netflix. It was more just to keep my mind going and find productive ways to pass time. So yoga is just one of those things on my list that if I don't get it done during the day and I don't get to cross it off, it's disappointing. So
That's wicked. I gotta write things down more. I don't read it as I really don't read at all. But I don't know. This company just consumes my life. But there are things outside of it that I do want to achieve, and reading books is one of them. I'm a big
yeah,
audiobook guy. Like I like to when I run, I'll listen to an audiobook. But
definitely.
what is it when you can't like follow the words correctly? You're not dyslexic. Is it just?
This potentially, I think. Yeah, I
It's
don't
like
know.
when the words skip. Like you can't read word for word for word. Like it goes.
Yeah,
Nonetheless. But I'm trying to work on it.
yeah. It's
But
it's. it's I don't want to say yoga helped me with it, but I also like. It's nice to be able to get into a space or an area where you can read and really get engaged in the book. I
yeah,
can't tell you how many times I read a lot even prior to this year, and it was kind of more sporadic. It wasn't more of a daily thing I chose to do. It was get a book, read it.
yeah,
And a few months later, maybe I'll find another book. But I can't tell you how many times I would be reading a book and finish an entire page and be like, shit, I don't remember anything I
anything.
just read on that page because I
Yeah,
was thinking about something else.
yeah,
And being able to get in that space where you are like yoga, you can't appreciate it if you're just doing it and someone's telling you what to do. But once you kind of get into the moment
know
and
why you're doing it.
yeah, being mindful about it
Yeah,
and focused and kind of slowing down your mind from anything else that's going on and being able to get in that space where you're reading and you're just reading, you're able to sit for 30 minutes and enjoy it
yeah.
is nice. And you'll catch it's kind of like a reading meditation. I
Okay,
don't know, but
I'll give it a shot.
I'm trying to, the way I'm speaking, I'm like a guru, but I'm really not. I
Sound
guess.
like it.
No,
You
not
shouldn't
at
have
all,
said
man. Not at
that.
all, man. Not at all.
Your best friend Brad, he has Marshy and Milco,
Yeah.
and it's based around hunting. Have you ever hunted with him, or just in general?
So we talk a lot about this. His grandfather was a hunter, his dad's a hunter, his family's a hunter.
Yeah,
And from the time I met Brad, and it probably started with Brad that I started showing interest in it. But just from a lifestyle and the more I pay attention to what I eat and my diet, it's been something that's interested me. So we keep in touch with it a lot, and he's next level with it. So when I came back and had to quarantine, I actually did my 2-week quarantine at his hunting camp.
he has a hunting camp.
Yeah, so he has a hunting camp here in Nova Scotia. I think he has a few
It's like a tree house.
scattered around the. It's They call it a hunting camp. It's a nice place to
Okay,
stay.
all right.
Yeah.
You can you like sleep there?
Oh, 100%.
Oh man,
Yeah, yeah. It's
awesome.
no, it's a house. Like it's you call it a camp, but
Okay,
it's
so
a
it's like
house.
okay, I gotcha.
It's a house just in the woods, tons of land. So it was a beautiful spot, and we talked a lot. But when I was in Texas, I finally so I always had pellet guns.
Yeah,
But when I was in Texas, I finally jumped on board for bow hunting. So I got a compound bow, and that's something that now I'm renting a cottage here for the summer. I got my targets, and
nice,
I don't get to do it every day, but it's another thing that like every day if I can shoot my bow for a little bit,
nice.
I love it. But with being a hockey player, we miss hunting season every year, so we leave um, like for Germany. I have to leave start of August to go back to Germany. So I'll be heading back. So I miss hunting season. So I'm not gonna hunt, but it's something I 100% plan on taking up after my playing career is over. Just from the ethically sourced meat standpoint and um, the hobby and the lifestyle and the skill to have. But I love spending time in the woods and hiking and venturing, and it's just something that rings to me, and it's something I talk about with Brad. And I've told him, I'm like, man, you're gonna have to teach me how to do this stuff because you guys are like his family's just like wizards
Yeah.
with like everything, the tracking aspect of it,
What's a skill set that you need in order to have to be a good tracker of a moose?
you're asking the wrong guy.
You don't even
No,
know, eh?
no. This is like so. I dabble with like uh, some magazines, like reading and some off the grid magazines on kind of survivalist tips
Yeah.
and how to spend your time in nature. But at the end of the day, you actually got to go out and do it, and it's something that I think you need to be guided on. So I look forward to it. It's something I show a lot of interest in, and his family, Brad and Jeff, both are really really skilled, and I
Yeah.
think they don't brag or boast too much about it, but it is something that I have a lot of interest in.
My brother and my dad are not. I don't want to say big into it, but they've done it a couple years in a row now, and I haven't gone out with them yet. But it's something I definitely want to get into as well. It's something I just want to be able to say I've done it. I just want to kill an animal,
Yeah,
and I want to see how I feel.
yeah,
And then from there, I'll make the decision whether or not I want to continue to do it or not. But I do understand it. I kind of feel like a hypocrite, if I eat a steak or a chicken and it's killed for me, I want to do it myself, see how I feel, eat the meat that I've captured, and we'll go from there. That's my plan for
yeah,
this summer at least.
yeah. And I think it just all ties into the like the life I see for myself after I'm done playing hockey is kind of like a um, I don't want to over not simple but kind of um, being able to sustain yourself and maybe like a little bit of gardening, your own hunting, and just more of a natural minimalistic kind of style of life. And I just feel a lot of enjoyment when I'm in those kind of elements, and it's not something I'm diving into daily, but I do love that connection with nature and I guess the natural flow of things. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
We got a family cottage out in Bridgewater, and we'll go out there for 2, 3 nights in a row, and you feel so at calm. And you come back to the city, and you pull off an exit and go to like Bears Lake, and you almost feel that anxiety without even doing anything. You're just in the city, moving around
Oh,
cars, but you notice when you're in Bridgewater by the lake, you don't hear a horn, you don't hear anything.
yeah.
It's a very very mindful and peaceful thing that I enjoy, and I definitely the same as well. Want to be able to get into that into my older
Yeah.
days. It's a nice thing.
It's awesome. Yeah, you think about when you were a kid and you used to just get lost in the woods or like a snowstorm,
Oh,
you just go get and it's so true what you're saying, and it's funny. Not funny, but it's cool to sit back and observe people because everyone says the same thing. Like everyone's like, "Oh, I love when I get out in nature and go for a hike and I feel so good and I
yeah.
do this and I do that." And then they rush back to the city and they're on their phone and they're like, "Oh, I feel so tired and
Yeah,
depressed." It's like you know what the problem is.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's you sit back and I have I have problems in my life, like so many problems, and there's problems I can't solve or work through. But sometimes you see people who have a problem, and you're like, you know how to solve it. You can't break through. But
Yeah.
that's one thing that I see with being outside a city and off in nature. It's something I like to incorporate as much as I can
Yeah.
because of that feeling of calm and peace that it gives you.
I get that feeling a little bit with golf too. It is nature.
Oh,
Don't get me wrong.
100%,
You hit a bad shot, you're a little pissed off,
Yeah,
but still, like you're out in nature. You're with your buddies and you're having a good time. It's
yeah,
that just not hearing a car or a honk or anything like that. It definitely puts you a little bit of a peace of mind. But
yeah.
like I said, if you do shoot a bad game, it can be frustrating.
Oh,
But
for sure. It's a
whatever.
learning experience.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
It's painful, man. Losing or not doing well is painful.
Oh, it's
It's painful. Yeah,
especially when you've been good at something your whole life,
yeah,
like
definitely.
hockey.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Anyways,
Teaching experience.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What's your plan this summer?
Man, it is like week to week right now.
I guess that's a stupid question. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
it's
one knows. Yeah.
week to week. Mostly preparing myself for the next hockey season, like I am every summer. Based on what we are and aren't allowed to do right now is catching up with friends as much as possible. That's something I'm really looking forward to. I've seen the majority of my friends in situations that are comfortable for them and everyone. So yeah, I'm not. It's nice not to have a lot of plans, but at the same time, I worry that if you don't make the plans, time can go by so quickly that it's going to be time to leave again. And if there's some things you want to get done that you don't get done
Mm-hmm.
or don't make a priority, they can pass by pretty quickly. So
100%.
I'm hoping things ease up a little bit with the restrictions and the lockdowns, so there's a little bit more freedom to make my time home as much as it can be. I guess skating and ice time are a big question mark right now still.
I never even thought of that. Yeah, you can't skate.
Yeah, not yet. So
Rollerblades.
yeah, I'm part of the blade gang again. I got Mars blades last year.
I heard those are the things to get now.
Pretty legit, yeah. I mean, I farted around with them a few times, and it was better than nothing.
Yeah.
But I have those in my storage unit, so I'm hoping come early June I don't have to go pull those out, and that there will be some ice available. But yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of week to week right now. Getting tons of time with my daughter. Due to the pandemic, she was here in Halifax, and I was in Germany, and we had hoped that she was going to be able to travel after Christmas to come see me and spend time in Germany. But just with the way everything panned out, we spent a lot of time away from each other. So I'm getting tons of time with her and
That's nice.
soaking that in, and she's doing amazing. And
How old is she?
she's 4 years old.
What are some of her interests?
Pretending. Yeah.
I don't even know what a
Yeah.
4-year-old does. Pretending. Okay.
No, she's awesome. The cottage I rent is actually my trainer's cottage. So he has a separate cottage on the same land, and he has 4 kids.
Oh
So
wow.
it's ideal for her because with this pandemic, I've heard of some families who have children that are kind of really isolated, and it's really sad to see. And I'm super fortunate that she's able to be around kids and be a kid. But when it's just me and her, I'm a full time actor, and whatever role she puts me into, I get into it pretty intensely. So it's so much fun, and I'm happy to be here right now.
Yeah, and it's a great time to be home too. You'll be able to be outside and do whatever you want, camping under the sun,
Yeah, definitely.
fires.
Definitely, yeah. With the weather coming around, trying to spend as much time outside as possible,
Yeah.
and you notice it with kids too. So I hang out with those 4 kids, and it's same thing. Once you get them kind of into the woods and just let them roam and walk
Yeah.
and see a flower, a mushroom,
Yeah.
and that childhood mind, and just see them kind of get lost and stuff like that is really cool to see. But she's an amazing kid, amazing kid. And I'm super proud of her.
What's the game plan for like a phone and an iPad for a 4-year-old? Like, wait, how does what if your daughter comes to you and goes, "Hey, Dad, can I get an iPad?" Or like, what's your answer? Like, what age? I don't.
Ah, that is something that is, I guess, constantly changing with time and technology. But um, my ex and I are pretty much on the same page as far as that goes. She's not going to park herself in front of an iPad at 4 years old.
Yeah.
She doesn't have one. She doesn't have a phone, and I don't see a phone in her future. I like to believe that she won't have a phone until she has a driver's license and needs one, but I don't know
Do you see other
how that
4-year-olds with
happens.
iPads? Like, I'm not around.
Yeah, I mean I make lots of observations, but I'm the parent of my child, and that's
Yeah.
that's all I can really control. And lots of people have different parenting um, philosophies, and lots they all the children seem to turn out well with lots of love. So I'm not here to tell you what's the best thing to do. I just know that um, when you do have a kid on an iPad or on a TV and you turn it off, the reaction is not a healthy one. If someone needs that thing right in front of them
Yeah.
so badly, it's probably not a great thing to be putting in front of them all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna write any parenting books anytime soon, but
Hey, you convinced me. I'm not gonna put an iPad. I don't have any kids, but it won't happen.
yeah, I mean, in my past there was times where you just have to, like if you're on an airplane
Yeah.
traveling overseas, you're gonna have to treat the kid to a couple movies. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's navigating life as it changes.
Yeah. Have you been watching any of the playoffs? Or are you one of those guys when hockey's done you don't even watch?
No, so I didn't get to watch a lot of hockey this year. I watch a lot of highlights, but I'm typically watching Colorado and Boston highlights just because I'm checking up on Nate and Brad. And I have a great group of friends back here, and Brad's part of that friend group, and we have a group chat going. So every brew,
Oh, I'd love to see that group
so
chat.
every Bruins game, the boys are all tuned in, and we can't be together watching them all right now. So the guys are watching live and chatting. So I've probably watched maybe 4 playoff games since I've been back. Um,
What?
I watched maybe more.
Did you watch Sid last night?
I didn't. No, I didn't catch that one.
Feel for the guy.
I saw a couple of the highlights. But I mostly watched the Boston games and then the Montreal Toronto games. I've tuned
Yeah.
into a couple of those, and my God, is it gonna be an absolute? How's politically correct? Wait a
Oh, no one listens to this, man. You don't got to worry about it. Say what
well,
you want.
okay, like the Canadian teams, it's gonna be a brain fuck when they walk into a full stadium. I
Thank you. Why is no one else? No one else will agree. A lot of people aren't agreeing with that.
Oh my
I
God. I was thinking like I couldn't imagine playing with no fans because a lot of these teams in the US slowly built up to the capacity they've been to. So it's a little more fans, and now you're seeing some of these buildings are just rocking like full playoff mode. And as a player, I'm like I know what it's like to play with no fans. It's terrible.
was it
It's
garbage this year?
it's I shouldn't yeah, it's terrible is a good word. It's not as enjoyable, and it's not as competitive, and I shouldn't say that. It's competitive, but the adrenaline's not there,
Yeah.
and the extra aggression, and it's some games you had to really fight to
Care.
to it's your job, not care. Wouldn't be the way to describe it. I would say you really have to fight to not fall into a scrimmage mentality
Really?
where it's kind of like there's no fans, you're playing, you're flowing, and it's easy to get caught in a moment where you're like, okay, wait one sec, this matters. Like this isn't summer hockey. Like, and I think everyone needed a little reminder throughout the year. There are players who have that ability to bring it to the next level all the
Yeah.
time, regardless of the situation. But as a group, you really had to hype yourself up, like walking out on the ice for warm up or walking out at the start of the game with no fans. It's a different emotion. So You don't have that not anxiety, but that adrenaline, that on edge
Yeah.
ability. And I wonder with these Canadian teams who are playing with no fans, what it's like for them. Obviously, it's the NHL. They know so many people are watching, but the emotion's not in the building. And I'm really interested to see what happens once they do cross over. I don't know what the game plan is. Um,
I heard if if Toronto makes it out, if this is all I because all
are
Sportsnet
you a
does is
Toronto fan?
Montreal,
What you're a what fan?
Montreal.
I am too.
Are you?
Why are you assuming Toronto makes it out?
Because this is all Sportsnet talks about, or TSN.
Yeah, but
Because if there is a solution, they only have it for Toronto. I'm not saying Toronto's going to
yeah,
make it,
true.
but this is all I know.
Could be Winnipeg though, right?
Very well could be
Yeah.
Winnipeg. Very well could be Montreal.
I don't like giving Toronto all the.
Anyways, here's what they said. They said Buffalo. They're going to go to Buffalo because then they can have some Toronto fans because it's right next to Ontario, Buffalo, and then they can
Right.
pack that stadium.
Okay.
So that's the plan with Toronto. Montreal, hey, I had no idea. Winnipeg, I have no idea. But that's all I know for the solution for Toronto.
Okay. You're the first person that told me that. I was actually wondering that yesterday. I was wondering what's going to happen because I don't see. I guess I don't see the Canadian government letting
No,
them go back and
no,
forth right now,
no.
which is, yeah, a little bit disappointing. But it's going to be a huge disadvantage not having a true home game in
Yeah.
playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
You could put it in Buffalo, but it's not a home game.
No.
But yeah, I'd love to see the reaction or kind of get a inside the locker room camera of what these guys are saying as they come into a full stadium again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that emotion must feel so good. So good.
Yeah. I want to talk to some NHL guys this year. Like I know Highmore's on his way back from Vancouver right now, and he got to experience both because he was in Chicago
Yeah.
and now he's in Vancouver. So
Mm.
he got to experience the fans a little bit, but then he got traded to Vancouver.
When he was in Chicago though, did they have fans in Chicago at that time yet?
I'm pretty sure, not
Yeah.
maybe just 5,000,
Okay.
but they still had fans.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a different beast because you see some of these videos of these teams and it's like, it's not just like, oh, we're letting in a few fans. It's like rocking now.
Oh, the Coliseum yesterday in New York on the
Rockin'.
island.
Yeah, it's not.
And then unbelievable.
Oh man.
The Knicks too at Madison Square Garden. The Madison Square Garden was packed and they won. They were partying on the street.
Yeah, I have such like there's just an energy in me that resonates with seeing pictures of crowds right now. Like
Yeah. Oh,
seeing the golf, the pictures of Mickelson with like people around. I'm like, I just want to be around people.
people just want to be together.
Yeah.
People just want to be together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of people are craving that human connection and that you're able to get together with one person or a couple people at a time. And
Yeah.
I think people are really really looking forward to getting together in groups again and kind of speaking your mind. And that's another, I guess. Another thing I think about too is just with everything going on, and I was talking about like people have differences, opinions, and when you are kind of isolated and locked down like this, a lot of people resort to communicating on social media or Twitter or Instagram and spending time on that. And you might have a difference of opinion on something that's going on in the world right now, but if you do take the time to sit down with someone who does have a difference of opinion and speak in person, it seems like you always find a common ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people are craving that right now, where to get together with people in groups and kind of talk and share ideas and look someone in the face and explain what you feel and see what they feel and kind of that human connection. And looking forward to that. And I guess when you see these fans and stands packed, I'm just like, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to be around that energy again.
Especially you. You're a rare human being who gets to play in front of thousands and thousands of people a night. Not a lot of us get to experience that.
Yeah.
And the most I ever played in front, I played in front of the Metro Center with like 9,000 people once, and I'll never forget it. It was one of the best feelings I'll ever experience in my entire life. It's hard to explain,
Yeah.
but to be able to have a guy sitting across from me like you that gets to do it on a regular basis, I couldn't imagine the amount of I don't want to miss I couldn't imagine the amount of miss that you're gonna miss it. Is that what I'm trying to say? The amount of you're gonna miss it. You must miss it so much because I know that feeling. When the game was over in the third period, I was like, please don't send me down because I want to be able to experience that
Yeah,
again. Like it was all I wanted to do was just play in front of a lot of people.
yeah. I think it's I think it's something I think it's something I'll miss. Not not a crazy amount, but I think more than anything this year allowed me to realize how much it adds and
Well said.
how much it matters. Like you kind of always had quick clips and maybe commercials of players who were like, "Oh, you're the fans, you guys matter." And
Yeah.
yeah, I've said it. I've been like, "Oh, you fans, knowing you guys are behind us and supporting," and you kind of say it because someone gives you a piece of paper to say it. But this year proved it. Like, I was playing this year, and I was like, "My God!" Like, fans change the game in a big way, and it is so apparent when you go to a place like Germany where there's such a discrepancy between the top teams where you have like 18,000, 20,000 fans packed to you have kind of smaller buildings where it's like 4,000 and it's kind of an old school building and packed, but they're both so loud and so into it. And then you play this year with nothing and you're like, my God, it changes the game. Changes the game. So next time they ask me to thank the fans, I'm going to be doing it from the heart because I've seen both
Yeah.
sides of it, and it's so apparent how much it adds and how much it matters.
Do you have a Moosehead story where like the building was packed? Just a memorable game at the Halifax Metro Center, not
I
Scotiabank
yeah,
Center, Halifax Metro Center. Do you have a game? That picture I posted of you, by the way, is unreal. Those jerseys.
those are my favorite. Those are such
The,
good jerseys. Yeah,
that's the that whenever I like picture the Mooseheads,
yeah,
that's the jersey I think of.
I love it.
Unreal. The red, the green.
I haven't seen a picture of myself in that jersey in a long time. I was pumped when I saw it. And I saw my tape job on my stick, and I was like, "What was I?"
Why? What was wrong with it?
I had the Bertuzzi. I was super proud of it. Like real long knob at the top. Like
Oh, you did too.
yeah,
Yeah.
real long. I have it short now, but I might bring it back this year, just for fun. Um,
Big
but
captain.
Mooseheads, the one time that I remember being like, "Wow, this is nuts," was my first line brawl, and I was my first year, and we had a huge brawl against
It's
Bathurst.
on YouTube.
It is on YouTube, and it was. I remember the game. My D partner Frankie McDonald got ran over by a guy, and I forget his name, but it was a dirty hit. He got kicked out, and Al McAdam was our coach, and he didn't like it. So I'm looking at the bench, and Donnelly's our D coach at the time, and I'm looking at the bench, and Donnelly's like, "Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah.
And they send out Ben Chason as my D partner. So I'm like, "Okay, me and Chason," and then they send out Justin Saunier, and they send out Cormier and Kirk Forrest.
Oh
So it's
Jesus.
Chason, Saunier, Cormier, and Forrest, and me. And I'm like,
Are
and I'm looking at the bench. I'm like, do you want me out?
you
Like,
16?
I'm 17.
17. Okay.
17 early in the year, and I'm kind of this is my first fight too. Like I hadn't fought yet.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So I'm like looking. I watch hockey. I understand what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the ice, and I'm like, you got to pick someone quick here because these guys are. You're not gonna have a lot of time
Yeah.
to pick your meal.
Yeah.
The buffet line's going quick. So the puck, I don't even know if the puck drops and everyone just kind of meets. And I got matched up with a guy, Jonathan Duchesneau, and
Sounds tough.
yeah, I had a really good fight. Like I was
Did
really
you?
happy. It ended. He didn't have his he had his shoulder pads off and his elbow pads and jersey, and I was the first one to fight. So after I fought, I was kind of ushered off, and I got off the ice, and then I got to see everything else, and I was like, "This is mayhem."
Did
Like,
you go through the Zamboni exit?
Yeah, the
Oh, so
Zamboni.
how did you see everything else? So
I
they.
just turned around.
Oh,
Like,
you're just waiting
yeah,
there.
I kind of
Okay.
just waited and like watched, but yeah, and then showered up and put on your suit, and you got to walk up the stairs because we
Through
walked.
with the fans?
Yeah, I didn't know where I was supposed to go, but I went. I might have followed Sonya. I was like, "Where do we go? Can we go watch the game?"
So you didn't know about the elevator?
No. So
Okay.
we kind of walked up,
Yeah.
and the fans are like cheering you on, like you're in your suit. They just saw you go to war, and I was like, "This is cool." That's kind of a memory that that sticks out of the Metro Center. It was
That's
a lot of
awesome.
fun.
And whoever recorded that video on you, that's an amazing piece of history to have on
Yeah,
that. The one at the Forum too.
yeah,
I forget. Tim Boyce had a great behind the scenes story on that. But those are two big brawls in Halifax that will never be forgotten.
yeah.
It was great.
It's always that one's always a story that comes up when you start talking about old hockey stories. You're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, you should see, yeah, this one time in junior. Doesn't happen anymore. Doesn't happen anymore.
There's a couple line brawls this year already. NHL there was.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I know it just doesn't happen. Yeah, I
Few
know.
and far between. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a cool memory, fun memory.
So what's on the agenda for the rest of the day? It's raining out, so you can't go golfing or hunting.
No, I grocery shopping. Nothing major. I don't think I have anything on the to-do list, but going to get my daughter here soon and
There you go.
have a big evening and plan a few big days. But yeah, it's one of the good things about what's going on is there's not a lot of plans, so there's not a lot of navigating what you have to do or what you have lined up. You're kind of free to
Yeah.
do what you want and make a plan.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, man, thank you very much for
Thanks,
coming.
dude.
I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I appreciate doing it.
When things open up, I'm coming to Germany. I didn't even ask you. Are you allowed to say what you're doing next year? Are you going?
Oh, I signed 2 more years.
Did you?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So
That's awesome.
it was announced at the end of the season, but probably earlier in the season, mid-season, we agreed to a 2-year extension.
Awesome. Well,
so
congrats.
I think 2 more years, and I think it's my exit plan, or I'm gonna start thinking about it. So
Well, whatever you decide to do,
yeah, man.
you'll be successful at it. I know
I
it.
hope so.
It'll be good.
We'll see.
All right. Well, everyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm sorry about the little breaks in the podcast, but that's the way she goes during a pandemic. Once again, Andrew, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We're out. Peace.
Cheers.